What's going on, everyone? How are we?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. We're back again. Playoff football. We got one game of college left, a couple of games of football left. The end is nigh. It's exciting, but it's also a little depressing. Chris, you got your Brewers shirt on. How are you going after the weekend? Tough loss.
This ode to Bob Uecker, the late great Bob Uecker, our broadcaster for over 50 years, passed away today. So rest in peace, Mr. Uecker. Was on Major League, he was in the movies, and he was our announcer for a long time. And my shirt is into homage to that great individual. So
iconic.
Absolutely. On the other front, the inevitable happened. We'll talk about it later, but my Packers are toast, and it wasn't really a sad day. It's like if you know the end is coming. It's sad when it comes, but you get over it pretty quickly. So that's kind of what happened with me there.
Yeah, and Derek and I, no stress. We just sat back and relaxed. It was nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Although I'm still following Seattle news every day for who our OC might be, but that's another story. Let's kick it off with the national championship game. We've gone through the bracket. We've done our predictions. We've spoken about teams and who should be in, who should be out. Now we're down to two teams: Ohio State, Notre Dame. The odds are heavily in Ohio State's favor. I think they're 8.5. I'm not sure if that line has changed. Derek, is there a path where Notre Dame can win? And if there is, what is it? How do they do it?
I feel as if their defense would need to play the game of their life and shut down their passing attack. Ohio State, as you guys know, looked really, really good in the playoffs, but they have some really good receivers. So they would need to lock that down and probably get a few turnovers would probably be key to hang in there. I feel like that. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, Texas hung in there with them, but watching that game, you never really felt like Texas were a chance of winning that game. Mm-hmm. I felt the same way when Ohio State played Penn State earlier in the year. It was close, but I clearly saw a better team in Ohio State. So I think Notre Dame has to stick with them for as long as possible, mitigate their receivers, as you said, and just try and get some momentum. Texas got some momentum going. They scored a couple of touchdowns, and then they were on the attack with a chance to score to, I think, tie it up, right? And Ohio State did that sack fumble and got that beautiful bounce and ran away with it. So I think that Notre Dame has to stay in the game. Stay there till the third, fourth quarter, put pressure on them to succeed, but it can get away from them quickly. So they need to really make sure that they are hanging in there and their defense puts on a show.
Yeah, because if you look at that Texas-Ohio State game, it was a 2-touchdown final, but, you had those two big plays, right? You had the screen at the end of the second quarter. That was just a ridiculous, great play call. You got to give it to Chip Kelly and, the offensive play call he's been doing. And then obviously the strap six, I'm not saying it right. Good Lord. Sack, fumble, return for a touchdown. And that's 14 points right there, right? That's a 14-point swing, and there's your ball game. So Ohio State was letting Texas hang around in that game for a lot longer, and it felt like Texas was going to break through. And, Sark made a terrible play call with that pitch. Right, on second down. You have it at the 1-yard line, right? When you got the ball at the 1-yard line, just put Arch in there and sneak it. You got a 6'4" quarterback, put him in there and let him run 4 times, and it cost them the whole game. So Ohio State didn't look infallible in that last game, but yeah, Notre Dame has to outcoach Ohio State, and they have to out-hustle Ohio State because Ohio State has more talent than Notre Dame. Right? Anybody can win on any given day, but Notre Dame has to come out on all cylinders, and Ohio State has to be a little sluggish. And if we see that, I think it'll be a more competitive game than what the line is saying right now. Started at 9.5, open at 9.5, and dropped down to 8. So there are some people on Notre Dame a little bit.
So you think Notre Dame covers?
I think they do. I think this might be a closer game than people think. I think Ohio State, they kind of like started so well against Tennessee and then Oregon, and it just seemed like they slipped a little bit. And Ryan Day still has to prove to me that he can win the game of the game of the game. So maybe that's just me wishing and hoping, because Ohio State, I don't think bad deeds should be rewarded by them being little on the field against Michigan or whatever. But I don't, I got no dog in this fight. I don't like either team.
Yeah. And Ohio State's been starting off really fast. And so, again, like to your guys' points, if Notre Dame can also chew up some of that clock, and get their running game going some on offense, that's really going to be beneficial to them too.
Yep, absolutely. And I do want to talk quickly about Notre Dame and Penn State, the first semifinal. I said on last week's episode that it was two mediocre teams and it was going to be a mediocre game. And I hate being right, but boy, oh boy. I mean, Penn State had 0 completions to a wide receiver. 0 for the entire game. Now, granted, their tight end, Gunn, going to the NFL, is going to be a very good player, but 0 completions. Both quarterbacks threw stupid interceptions at crucial times. And in the end, it ended up being a field goal game, which, yes, entertaining for everyone, but I didn't see anything exciting there. I just can't believe that Riley Leonard is in the national championship as a quarterback. I've trash talked him a little bit, you know, and as a kid, so I'm not going to go too harsh on him, but he can't throw the ball. And he's a quarterback. He's a glorified running back, honestly. I mean, I know Lamar Jackson copped a lot for running the ball a bit too much, but he improved his passing game. I've seen nothing from Riley Leonard that tells me that he can be a passer in this game. And so I do think that Ohio State blow them out, because the other thing is Notre Dame hasn't faced that many great offenses in the playoffs. They've faced Indiana, who are not a good offense. Penn State's offenses, we just mentioned that. And then they played Georgia with a backup quarterback, so a little bit all over the place. And we know that Georgia's offense this year had been a little bit up and down. So I don't think they've faced anyone like Ohio State. And I think Ohio State does what they did against Oregon, comes out, blows them out early, and runs away with it in the end, which is disappointing. I want a good game, but that's it. My final score, I'll say Ohio State 41, Notre Dame 13.
Wow. ESPN doesn't want to hear that.
No.
It's bad. It's not good for rating.
And Jeremiah Smith, 160 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't think Notre Dame covers. I don't think so either. But you know, Riley Leonard, he gives himself chances because of his legs. But hey, you know, all you gotta do is text that kid, "You suck," and hey, he might have a heck of a game.
Oh boy, well, I'm sure he'll get plenty of those texts after Monday, I think. I definitely would be taking Riley Leonard overs on his rushing props. I'm not sure what that number is, but I don't think he trusts himself to throw the ball against a team like Ohio State, so I think he's going to default to the run far too often. And that's my prediction. Any final thoughts on this one? Scores, who wins, covers? Derek, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, like I said, I think Ohio State gets the victory here. I think it's probably by 2 touchdowns. I'm gonna say by at least 14. And I'm sad. It's gonna be I mean, obviously, my dogs didn't get in this year, but just the fact college football is gonna be coming to an end. Sad. I'm gonna miss it. I love some college football, but look forward to hopefully maybe a good game. If anything, I hope it is closer than what I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, Chris.
Y'all just crowning Ohio State too early, in my opinion. I just think it's going to be a lot closer game. I don't know. I was not impressed by Ohio State against Texas. I thought I saw them making a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I saw a lot of penalties. I saw a lot of like mental errors. And I think on the biggest stage, I mean, I don't see how anybody would be surprised to see that continue. So I'll say Ohio State wins, but I think it's going to be a 3 to 6 point game. I think Notre Dame definitely covers, and I could see Notre Dame stealing one.
I hope so. I really do. But yeah, to your point, Derek, it's been a fun season overall. I know the playoffs were a little disappointing, to be perfectly honest, but the season itself, I think, was fun. We saw some great games, a lot more, you know, high-ranked games, high-profile games, Georgia, Alabama, Georgia, Texas. A lot of fun. Good season, and I know that there are talks about possibly changing the seeding of the playoffs. Not next season, but maybe the season after, and making some tweaks there, which I think we all agree some tweaks need to be made. But overall, the brand itself skyrockets, ratings are up across the board. I think it's been an overall good season. Any other final thoughts?
I think just more madness is what you're going to get, right? With all these players changing teams. I think this is here to stay. And I think it's going to be a totally different, you know, like it'll be totally different teams next year. And I think it's going to round and round we go, you know, in the world of Carson Beck getting how much money did he get to go to Miami?
He got
$4 million.
Apparently $4 million.
in the world of Carson Beck's getting $4 million to play college football, anything can happen. So it's going to be so unpredictable. And like I said, I think that's, unless you're a fan of a certain team that, doesn't do well, I think that's going to be more entertaining for the overall fan, as a whole going forward, because everybody will have a chance.
Yeah, and the NIL has made it a little bit more competitive, but come April, we will find out for sure what they decide on this whole salary cap kind of deal, with what they can spend on the players. So that'll be interesting to find out too.
For sure. All right. Next round of playoffs. We had our super wild card weekend this weekend. Little disappointing. Let's go around first. Who was more disappointing? Okay, out of the Steelers, the Chargers, the Broncos, or the Vikings? Who do you think was the most disappointing out of those four?
I think that's an easy answer to me.
I think so too.
It's the Vikings.
I'm going Vikings, yeah.
I'm going Chargers.
No. Why?
Why would you say look, Vikings definitely disappointing. And Chris, go ahead. You give your rant on the Vikings.
Well, they're a 14-win team. We kept writing them off, and they kept just winning games. Darnold looked amazing during the regular season. Their defense looked amazing. They were one game away from having the 1 seed and having a bye and having 15 wins to go straight from, in 2 weeks, from Darnold being $150, $200 million man and having a 1 seed and a bye and potentially having home field to the Super Bowl to losing to the Rams basically on a neutral field in Arizona because of the wildfires. Blown out. Darnold loses all that money to get embarrassed to make Stafford look like he was 10 years younger, just like that. I think that was terrible. I was assume their fans would feel the same way after all that buildup and all that stuff they had talking about him to just be terrible out there. That's why I would say the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold was awful. He was awful against Detroit as well. It's not like against Detroit, he had wide open guys in the red zone, missed them. This time, he had wide open guys and took sacks. It was the Darnold of old. Disappointing for him. It's going to cost him. I still think he'll get a good contract next season. I don't think it'll be at the Vikings. I think now they're pretty content to move on with him. I think there'll be teams that will be involved, but yeah, he lost a lot of money over the weekend.
Never seen a quarterback hold on to the ball that long so many times and get sacked. I mean, you were talking like 7, 8, 10 second. He was hold on to the ball. You have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Throw the ball. Throw it to somebody. Give him a chance.
It was tough.
That was tough.
So I went with the Chargers as most disappointing because last week we ranked our AFC teams and Texans were pretty much last and everything, right? Texans were bad season, regression from this team, injuries over the board. The Chargers went out there. Justin Herbert, he's entering some territories that you don't want to be in. 4 interceptions. I know 2 of them were, wide receiver errors, but they never even looked like being competitive in this game. Could not get into the red zone. Blown out by a team that many people thought were lucky to be in the playoffs, just being in a bad division. Pretty much, I think, Chris, you had the Chargers pretty high up in your rankings. You had some coaching was up there, defense was up there, and they fell extremely flat. Very disappointing. Back to Justin Herbert. There was the talk about him being in the same conversations as a Burrow and an Allen, or like he was part of that crew to go up there, and his playoff performances so far, 2 of them have not been good. This one was the worst of the lot. I don't know. He needs some help. They needed to get some players in there on that offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they were better, but obviously didn't have much today. A couple of pick sixes and things like that didn't help them. But I was very disappointed with them. I had a parlay on for all the wildcard games, and I lost the first game. So my weekend was ruined.
So now the true colors come to fruition here. Mark,
I was pissed
off about the Chargers because he lost his bet.
Oh, so make no doubt about it. I was furious.
I mean, on the other side, it's Jim's first year with the team.
Oh, here
right?
we go. They making excuses.
No, I mean, it's his first year with the team. He totally changed that team around. They were in disarray before he got there. I mean, if you look at the skill positions, it's basically Lad McConkey or bust. He's a rookie wide receiver. I mean, Herbert was just throwing it to him every single time.
What a game, by the way. from
Yeah,
Lad
he had
McConkey.
a shining star of the game.
Oh, yeah.
McConkey played a heck of a game.
Oh, I mean, this guy is. I mean, he's a Cooper Cup just ready to go here. I mean, with the stats
Yeah.
he's going to start putting up, they couldn't run the ball at all.
Nah, struggled.
And I mean, D'Amico Ryans. I mean, he had a great defensive game plan, and he just shut the Chargers down. And no matter, it's just like they were just running in quicksand. The more they tried to do, the worse it got for them. And you could see that home crowd, and they got excited. And CJ didn't win the game, but he didn't really lose it either. They ran the ball a lot, played good defense. And no, was I shocked that the Texans won? I think everybody was shocked that the Texans won because how bad that they finished the season. But no, I would say as a Chargers fan, I would be excited for the future to come. But yeah, you need another receiver. You need a better running back. You need to upgrade some of those offensive skill positions, or else they're not going to be able to compete on the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, Herbert, I'm not saying he's got all the talent, but his decision making is obviously
the
questionable.
Texans defense though had a heyday. I mean, those guys were just eating their offensive line up. I mean, the ends, the linebacker. I mean, all over the place. I mean, just it seemed like every play too. It wasn't a here and there. It's like a whole drive. And yeah, I was impressed by their defense.
Yeah, Will Anderson Jr. had a good game. I really like him as a player. I loved him at Alabama, even though he played for Alabama. And Derek Stingley had a good game. Nico Collins had a good game. They had a good game all around. They had played a very, very good game. But what are your thoughts on Justin Herbert? I mean, where do you think he is in terms of development? Do you think he's reached his ceiling? Do you think that he's still getting to that elite group of players I was talking about? Or do we think that maybe he's just not going to be that guy?
I still think he can be that guy. He's only 26 years old, so it's not like his whole career is over per se. The problem is you got the NFL being dominated by one quarterback right now, and the rest are all just trying to find their place in the NFL. And I think Jim was trying to, during the season, basically he was like, just don't make mistakes, right? Don't turn the ball over. Don't do what you've done in the past. And all of a sudden they get down by, some scores in this playoff game. And then all of a sudden he has to try to be a hero and he's just forcing the ball. So I think 1 year with a new coach and a new system with basically one rookie wide receiver, I want to give him another year to see how he progresses under Jim Harbaugh and with this team. But no, I don't think his story's written. I think you can say he's a bust
next year and possibly the year after, his third year, with Jim and that coaching staff. And I think if he hasn't done anything by then though, I'm like, yeah, I don't think he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, again, good effort to make the playoffs from where they were last year. They got back in there. They're in a very tough division. 3 teams from that division made the playoffs. So,
I mean, let me ask you this: you're a Seahawks fan. Would you want Justin Herbert as your quarterback right now?
I actually traded for him in my Madden franchise.
Okay, so that's a yes. You would. So then I would say you wouldn't say he's written off yet either.
What did I do?
He's got the talent.
I traded Geno and Tyler Lockett to the Cardinals for a number 1 pick. That was great. And then I traded 4 number 1 picks and a bunch of players to the Chargers and got him.
Okay, Cowherd. That's a Colin Cowherd trade right there.
It's Madden logic. You can abuse the system there. It's quite good. Yeah, I agree. I think he's a great player. He's got great talent. He's got to get that playoff win. He's got to get that playoff win. Surround him with a lot more support. Quentin Johnson. Yeah, he's got to go. Okay, I'm sorry. You're not going to be an NFL wide receiver.
He's done. I agree with that.
Bye-bye. Go and get yourself another receiver. Will Dissly had a very disappointing game. 2 wide open drops. 1 led to an interception. So you need to get yourself some receiver help. I don't know what their O-line is like. Their defense is good. You got Joey Bosa. Khalil Mack said he's thinking about retirement.
Retiring, yeah.
But Derwin James is a beast. I mean, that guy eats. So the defensive side of the ball, they're set. They just need a few more supporting casts around Justin, and we'll see what happens. But disappointing way to end the season. Overall, though, good season from LA. Okay, Vikings we spoke about. Do we want to go on your Packers, Chris? Do you want
to? Whatever you want to say. Whatever you want to do, buddy.
I'll kick it off. We'll go with Packers Eagles. I'm going to say overall, as a neutral, low quality game from both teams. Both teams did not play well. The Packers obviously played a lot worse. I'd be worried if I was an Eagles fan, though. I didn't like what I saw from them. It was a disappointing game. Overall, yeah, low quality. The Seahawks should have been in the playoffs over both these teams, in my opinion, but, that's for another day.
Go back to this. My Lord, everything's full circle. Seahawks today.
That was a month ago, okay, the game against Green Bay, so I forgot about it. Go on, Chris. Sorry. What the floor? What do you think of the season? What do you think of the game? What's next? What do you need to improve on? What do you need? What's going to happen in this offseason?
So season as a whole, we went from 9 wins to 11 wins. So if you look at the regular season, you would say that's an improvement. When I look at this team, I think myself and all Packers fans have to come to a realization at this point. So when you get Jordan Love and he's your quarterback and he's talented, he can make all the throws, you know, all that stuff, just like a Justin Herbert, right? He's talented, all that stuff. We were hoping going into the end of last season in that playoff game against the Cowboys that he is a player that can uplift your team and take guys who are kind of at the medium level and up here. It has become abundantly evident after watching this playoff game that he is not capable of that. He is going to have talent put around him to excel and lift him up. I'm not saying he can't win a Super Bowl or can't go to a Super Bowl, but I was hoping that with this group of receivers with no marquee receiver, right, with the offensive line that got injured, that he could make adjustments to be more mobile, to throw it to the open guy, what have you. It was very clear he can do none of that. He can't do any of that. So now what the Packers have to do is they have to spend more money on, we need a number one wide receiver. I was talking about Tyreek Hill. I don't care if it's Tyreek Hill, whether it's a T. Higgins or a Tyreek Hill or Devontae Adams comes back or whatever, he can't excel with this group of wide receivers. He has to have it's like a, you know, Jared Goff / Darnold / however you want to put it situation. He's going to have pieces put around him to get him to excel. And that's a problem because when you have to spend money in those areas, then you can't spend as much money in other areas. I thought the defense played really well. They actually were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. And I think that was in part to Jalen Hurts not looking particularly good at all, being very rusty. And, you know, A.J. Brown reading a book on the sidelines and all that stuff. But the Eagles did not impress me at all with how they played. The Packers, they could have stolen that game if they had just played average level football. They couldn't do it. They were undisciplined. And Jordan Love, he's not that person that's going to uplift this team at this point. So, I mean, he's the same age as a Justin Herbert is. So he's got 2 years starting under his belt now. If he can't take that leap in year 3, they're going to have to get him some help. And that's sad because then we're going to have to like hurt from other areas. And our special teams, I give up. I give up. I've been complaining about special teams with the Packers since Ryan Longwell was our field goal kicker, 15 years ago, and it just hasn't got any better. We got Rich Bisaccia, who was a former head coach, who I thought was a good special teams coordinator, and he can't do the job either. So that's kind of the game and the way I put the Packers' future kind of in a nutshell there.
Yeah, I think Jordan Love's back end of last season was so great. He was the best quarterback in the NFL. He had that like 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. So coming into this season, a lot of people had the Packers as not just playoff teams, but deep playoff run based on that form. And he just didn't get up to those heights again. He played some good games and he played some bad games. He'd have some crazy throws and then some, head scratches.
And Matt LaFleur has to take some responsibility for this too. I mean, our left guard, Elgin Jenkins, goes out, and he's a great guard. But then they put the rookie backup in, and they're like, "Oh, he's from Georgia." I was like, "Okay, wait, he's from Georgia? No. He's from Georgia Tech? No. He's from Georgia State." I was like, "Great, Georgia State. Let's put him in there against the best defensive front in football." And he got like 4 like holding penalties in 5 plays. But it's like, where is your planning, right? When things go wrong, where is your backup plans? It just felt like as soon as we lost a guy, we had no plan whatsoever to offset those injuries. And that's coaching, right? I mean, that's his department. He can't just, and if he's offense, he's supposed to be offense, and the defense plays well and your offense struggles, that's on you, buddy. You're the play caller. So before all those receivers got hurt, their offense was Josh Jacobs or bust. And it can't be like that in today's NFL. You're not gonna make it to the next level.
Yeah. All right, Jaden Daniels joined an exclusive club of rookie quarterbacks to win a playoff game. He's had a fantastic season. He's exceeded expectations. So have the Commanders. He's a shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. Got a good win. They were underdogs. I know the Buccaneers aren't the strongest team, but they were expected to win this game. Commanders held on. Another late game drive from Jaden to win them the game and get him in field goal range. He joins CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, Russell Wilson, guys like Flacco, Roethlisberger. He's in good company as a rookie to win a playoff game. Good for him.
Yeah. I mean, the
I'm
kid is
excited.
just great football player and excited to watch. As long as he stays healthy, obviously to watch him in the upcoming years. That game was a great game, considering all the other ones were a little
Yeah.
disappointing. But that was a really, really good game. I did feel a little bad for the Buccaneers. They played a heck of a game. Baker Mayfield's put it on the line. Evans, the showdown, him and Lattimore is just getting it, going at
Dominated
each
him.
other. So, but yeah, I'm really impressed by Daniels, and he's a winner. And they got a future quarterback for sure in that franchise.
Jaden Daniels understands situational football well beyond his years. He looks like a veteran out there. He understands when to take risks. He understands when not to take risks. He understands what to do on every play based on the score, the tempo of the game. And when I see Jaden Daniels, first of all, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL now already. And it's not going to be like a second year, like he takes a step back. He is such a smart player when you watch him play the game. He understands everything that's happening around him. And the accolades I can give him is, I mean, he shows you the talent level. He's not Lamar Jackson. Okay, he's not Lamar Jackson. There's only one Lamar Jackson, but he has that aura about him of his ability to run and throw the ball. And then he has that situational awareness. And he's not Patrick Mahomes, but he has that situational awareness. He knows when to run. He knows when to throw. I'm telling you, man, I understand he's teeny. My wife was watching the game. She has no idea who he is. She saw him. She's like, "Who's that guy? He looks like a little kid out there." He is very, very small. He has to. I think he understands situation football, and he's going to keep himself. I don't see him taking big hits a lot of the time. Like I remember RG3 when he had his first year with Washington, he was just getting pummeled because he was just getting nailed, and his body could not sustain it. So I hope he can stay upright. I love Jaden Daniels. I am a fan. I am a cheerleader. I think next year, I already think he's top 10 quarterback. I think next year he could be a top 5 quarterback if he continues on his trajectory. I think he's that good.
He certainly doesn't look like a rookie out there.
Yeah.
At all. Like he looks like he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, and it's pretty impressive. Derek, at LSU, were there signs of this? Because he was number 2 overall. So Caleb was all Caleb. Were there signs that he could be this good? I mean, similar to CJ Stroud, right? Like
so.
CJ Stroud was the 3rd quarterback taken, and he leapt up. So
yeah,
interested to hear what you think.
So. I mean, I know we were going to do Rookie of the Year. I think we never got to doing that part in one of our episodes.
We'll get there.
He was like my front. Yeah, he was my front runner for that, and I'm glad. He's had a season. But I mean, the guy's always been an athlete. He makes his teammates better. He like Chris said, he's just so smart. He doesn't very rarely. I mean, obviously, he does a great job of getting rid of the ball when he gets under pressure. And taking those hits, and the guys love playing for that guy, and there's no quit in him. Like even in college, he was like that. I mean, to the end. If there's time on that clock, he's going to try to find a way to win. He's just proven he's doing it in the NFL now. But yeah, there was a video I think that went viral last year of his ex Arizona State teammates making fun of him when he transferred and all that, and I just like, good for this guy. Like,
for sure.
Went on to win the Heisman. Now he's having a great rookie year, and good on him.
Cliff Kingsbury, terrible head coach. Okay. Amazing offensive coordinator. So he'll probably get another opportunity at some point, but I think he needs to stay right where he is, right? You got the defensive head coach that can run the defense side of the ball. Stay there and people will love you and say you're great. Don't go back. Okay. Don't go back to a head coach job because it didn't work out well, and it's not going to work out well. But he was some amazing play calls during that game against a good Tampa Bay defense.
Yeah, he has no reason. He's still getting paid by the Cardinals. So he's still getting paid head coach money. There's no reason for him to go anywhere right now. And if you're at the Commanders, you've got to be so excited about what's to come. And I mean, their season's still happening, so I don't want to talk about next season already, but you've got cap space. You've got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You're gonna want players coming to play with you. And hats off to Dan Quinn too, because kind of ended a little sour in Atlanta. Went to Dallas and got that defense really, running again, got some more opportunities. People weren't that excited about him with getting a head coaching role. I remember he was in talk for Seattle, and I didn't want any of it. I was like, no, he's been a head coach, terrible, and he proved me wrong. He's done really good. So hats off to him. It doesn't always work out first time head coaching, so it's great that he's kind of got his reputation back a little bit. He did a good job. I mean, he went and signed like Bobby Wagner, like all these older guys these leaders in the dressing room, and you can just tell that they're having fun there, and the future looks bright for them.
Yeah, just quick on the other side, Baker Mayfield. I thought he played well in the game. I hate that one fumble he had that obviously cost them the game. He took full ownership of it. He has matured so much as a player and as a quarterback from what you saw in Cleveland when he got drafted, with all this bravado and just all this moxie that he couldn't back up, obviously with a terrible franchise, to now he seems to be the leader of that team. And I think Tampa Bay, I think they'll be all right. I think Bucky Irving is an amazing running back. He had a great rookie season, and he plays hard. He hits guys, and I like him a lot. They'll obviously get Godwin back, and then who's that rookie receiver? I think it was Jalen McMillan or whatever. Yeah, he came on strong at the end of the year. So I think Tampa Bay is going to be the class of the NFC South going into the beginning of next year for sure.
Yeah. And McLaurin, let's just say McLaurin, the relief on his face now that he realizes he finally has a great quarterback that can throw to him.
I mean, he may put some numbers with anybody. Now he's got a quarterback now.
Yeah, no.
I was going to say, Scary happy. Terry, he's been a top 10 receiver for a while, but never really got the national attention because they've just been such a terrible franchise. All it took was Snyder to sell the team, and look at them. They're shooting for the stars. They'll play the Lions this week. 9.5-point favorites, Detroit. So there's a lot of money riding there.
It's too many points.
You think it's too many points? I think the Commanders can be in here.
Yeah, I think against Lions defense that can be had. I think it could be a high-scoring game, and I think the Commanders can put up points. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be in a dome, right? So there's going to be no weather elements or anything like that. I think that's too many. I just personally think that's too many points.
Yeah. You think they cover Commanders?
I think they do.
Yeah. Montgomery's back this week, isn't he?
Yeah, he's back. I don't know if he's 100% or not. So I don't know if it's just going to
be on a pitch count, but
yeah, maybe short yards at the goal line. But Dan Campbell, man, he might go for it on his first on his own 5-yard line. I can't trust him to like he's going to cost his team at some point.
He's going to go for it at some point. Yeah,
he is. He's going to go for it, but usually he's been getting it. He's going to go for it at some point and not get it, and it's gonna cost him.
I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be a way closer game than that. Commanders coming in here with nothing to lose. As I said, like they just look like they're having fun. Dan Quinn's got them rolling. I would put them on upset alert. I don't think it's a full-gone conclusion. I think 9.5 is a little rough. I'm not going to say that the Commanders will win. The Lions have a great story going, but you never know. You never know.
I'll be rooting for it.
Yeah. Eagles Rams. I don't know with this game. It's because
your Rams. You got to talk about your Rams, though. You know, I mean,
that's
you
the thing,
hate
right?
the Rams. You hate everything about the Rams.
I do.
So you're skewed a little bit.
It's about the Rams. It's one of the
two.
Well,
look, the Rams were they hopped into the playoffs. Okay, they beat the 49ers 12-6. They beat the Cardinals 15-9 or something. It wasn't. They hopped in there. They weren't that exciting. I know they had that game against the Bills, but that was a while ago. They played well against the Vikings, but the Vikings were terrible. So I don't know. Like I don't know how to gauge. But on the other side of things, the Eagles were not great either. And the Eagles have all these problems, right? They have this amazing team, and when they turn it on, they turn it on. But every week, it just seems to be something else happening with them. That culture is always scrutinized. A.J. Brown reading books on the sidelines. It's, Jalen Hurts not having a great game, or they run the ball too much, and then they throw the ball too much because the receivers get angry. So this game, I don't know. If the Rams that played the Bills turn up and everything's just going for them and they get going, it can be tough for that Eagles defense to contain Puka Nacua. I don't know what's going on with Cooper Kupp. He got like 2 targets or something on the weekend. So they're not even using him, and they're still putting up points. I like this game. I think 6.5 is a little bit too much for Philly. Again, I don't know who to pick because I don't know which team turns up. For that reason, I go with Philadelphia overall, just based on their squad. I think they're a stronger squad, but wouldn't be surprised again if there's an upset here.
Yeah, I know it's going to be cold and out there on that field. I think the Rams could upset them. I'm just worried they're more of an indoor, West Coast kind of like AstroTurf, like nice 70-degree to weather, kind of fast team like that. If they're going to win, Stafford's got to show up again, and then that defense has to be able to put pressure on Jalen Hurts, and then the Rams got to put some points on the board. Nakobe Dean, he's out for the rest of the year now. That's a big, huge piece on the Eagles defense. I just feel like we're elevating both these teams right now because of the way they played last week, but it just feels like the competition did not live up to it, right? Minnesota did not come out well, and obviously the Packers did not come out well. I don't think the Rams or the Eagles are playing near as well as what the score said in those last games. So I think it's going to be whoever gets out to an early jump. I think these teams played during the regular season, and Saquon ran for like 200 plus yards on the Rams.
Smoked them.
So the Eagles, I mean, they're going to have to replicate that because Jalen Hurts looked like he was not in good form throwing the ball. So I don't think that's going to magically change in 1 week right now. So they're going to have to run it down the Rams' throat. Rams defense look good. It's hard to tell if it was Darnold or if it's the Rams defense that continue to progress. It's hard. I'm with you on that one.
Derek, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Rams, I mean, obviously they have some young guys too on that defense side of the ball. I was pretty impressed with that game. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Mark. I wasn't impressed by Eagles last week. I mean, obviously without those turnovers, who knows how that game could have turned out. Not saying Green Bay played lights out, but I mean, they got 4 turnovers compared to 0.
What's up with these Rams coaches? They look like a bunch of models over there. You see a defensive coordinator? What's it? They got the slick back hair. What would y'all rather have? Would you rather have a coach that's all nice and well put together, or you want a Bill Belichick that's got like a hoodie that's got like food all over it and stuff like that?
I want the sweatshirt with the stains, Cheeto stains, and
I'm leaning that way too because we got a little pretty boy on our team too that didn't do too well. Mark, you got a pretty boy too on your team. He always looks all put together too.
Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
Youngest coach in the NFL.
But the Eagles and Rams, I do think Rams have a chance, but I don't think they cover. Like I think Philly wins by at least a touchdown just because of the home field advantage. And with the fans, obviously we know how the Philly fans can be. It's a tough crowd. Could be for both teams depending on how the Eagles are playing. But
they're up by 2 touchdowns in a playoff game, and they're booing their own team at home.
I couldn't believe that. That was hilarious. The weather is supposed to be just above freezing, like 33, I think, and chance of snow or at least a bit of slurry. So we'll see. Yeah. And shout out to the Cardinals as well. Gave up the stadium. Flew 2 planes over to LA to bring them over, decked out their merchandise store with Rams gear. So that's fair play to them. It's a division rival. So hats off to the Cardinals. Good work there. All right. Chiefs, Texans, Kansas City -8. Joe Mixon questionable with a calf strain.
Okay. Yep.
Go Texans. They can do this.
Yeah, right. I want somebody to explain to me how the Lions are a 9.5 point favorite, but the Chiefs are only an 8 point favorite. Somebody explain it to me. Can somebody explain that to me?
The only explanation I can give is the people just don't want the Chiefs to win. So there's just people going, I'm hammering the Texans. I'm getting behind. I can't, and then vice versa. I think the Lions.
A lot of that's based on the offense of the Lions. I will say, like, it has to be.
Is that?
So do either of y'all think the Texans win or cover the 8 points then?
I hope they do. But no, I mean, I have Chiefs in this one. I don't think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them. I don't know what else to say. I mean, the only hope is that the Chiefs' offense is stale as well. I mean, like let's be real. The Chiefs have been in close games all season, pretty much, like 1-score games. So if you can keep it to a 1-score game, who knows? You might get lucky at the end. You might get a turnover. You might get a Nico Collins one-handed catch. I don't think they're out of it. But again, I am not going to bet against the Chiefs at home in the playoffs. I'm not going to bet against Andy Reid, who has never lost ever. At Philly and at Kansas City, has never lost in a divisional round. It's incredible. So, I mean, neither's Patrick Mahomes, never lost a divisional round. I mean, Chiefs, but go Texans. That's all I'll say.
I mean, it's just not. It's
well
just
said.
no chance that the Texans are going to be able to compete in this game. I think that winning the game against the Chargers was a successful season for them after what they've gone through, and I think that they would tell you just like anybody else, it's going to be a blowout. And I mean, Mixon might not even play. The Chiefs are getting their number 2 cornerback who broke his ankle like a couple months ago or whatever. The Chiefs are the healthiest they've been all year. They've been playing the best they have all year. I just think the writing's on the wall. The only thing I can see why they're only 8-point favorite is the over-under is 41.5. So they're just assuming it's going to be a lower scoring game overall. And it's going to be hard to cover more than 8 points if it's a lower scoring game is the only thing I can see. But or maybe the Chiefs just hold back a little bit because they know the next game is really the big one for them. And maybe they just kind of, don't open up their whole playbook and they kind of keep it kind of reserved to save it for the championship game. But this is going to be a snoozer.
Yeah.
I want to take you guys back to I think 2010. Mark Sanchez and the Jets. Okay, they go into the divisional round in Foxborough against the last dynasty, the Patriots. Get the victory against all odds. Go to the AFC Championship game. I'm hoping for that. I hope CJ Stroud channels in his inner Mark Sanchez. I hope D'Amico Ryans channels his inner Rex Ryan, and the boys go and shock the world. We'll see. All right. That leads us to the game of the season to date. MVP favorite, Josh Allen. MVP second favorite, but people think should be favorite, all-pro quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Bills, Ravens, Baltimore favored -1. It's going to be a tight one. It's the game of the week, Sunday at 6:30. Oh, I'm excited for this one. I mean, there's so much to talk about here, right? Both quarterbacks have not been able to get along across the line. Lamar's got to the AFC Championship last year, couldn't do it. I don't think the Bills have got past the divisional round since 2020, so they've been underachieving as well. So the story of this game is one quarterback goes on to the AFC Championship, the other one has more question marks. Chris loves to talk about playoff performances. So, Chris, I'll start off with you. What are you thinking about this game? I mean, it's another toss-up to me.
I think it keeps getting hyped up. I think you're going to be sadly disappointed.
Why?
Other than the Chiefs-Texans game, I think the Commanders, Lions, and Rams-Eagles are going to be closer games than this one. I think Josh Allen has hit his ceiling. I was not impressed at all by that Broncos game. I don't care what anybody says. I was not impressed by him. I think watching Lamar, I think he has taken a step forward. And, when you got old Derrick Henry running for 200 yards, I don't think that can hurt at all. I think the Ravens defense has totally turned a corner over the second half of the season. I would expect the Ravens to win by at least 14 points. 2 touchdowns. I think Josh Allen's going to get nervous. I think he's going to start chucking the ball up. I think he's going to have at least 2 turnovers because they're not going to be able to run the ball. If you look at that game against the Broncos, the Bills, all I hear is Josh Allen has no help. He's a one-man show. He's Superman. He's hero. He can do it all. All I saw was James Cook running the ball. That's all I saw was James Cook. So I don't want to hear another word about Josh Allen being Superman. I know what I saw from Josh Allen against the Broncos. I saw a game manager. That's what I saw. And you can't be a game manager and beat the Ravens this year. So I think the Ravens are going to put some foots and some butts, and I cannot wait to see it. And I want to hear what Bills Mafia says to defend their man after that happens. That's it.
Hey, we're gonna clip that and we're gonna replay it next week. Okay, we're gonna see what happens.
All right.
Here's my thing. What happens if Josh Allen puts up 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, but the defense loses? What are you going to say? Are you going to say, hey, look, you know what? Hats off to Josh Allen. He played a good game. Bills couldn't get it done on defense. Like, what is it going to take for you to say Josh Allen, even if they lose, what would it take for you to say Josh Allen deserves to be in the conversation as an elite quarterback?
He has to win the game.
So it's win. So no matter what, if he throws 10 touchdowns, but the defense doesn't back him up and they lose, that's not good enough.
Correct.
That's insane. What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? I'm telling you what I say.
He's not out there on defense. He can
First of all, he's not going to throw. It's not going to throw 10
either
touchdowns.
Way, one of them is going to be able to prove themselves because Chris has talked all year long about Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson not proving anything in the playoffs. So one of them is going to prove something. And I'm glad Lamar's growing on you a little bit because at the beginning of the season, you had no love for Lamar.
No love.
but all of a sudden
Well.
you're like, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson, greatest.
Well, I thought Lamar played a lot better wild card game in the first round against a better defense than Josh Allen did against a quarterback who had broken vertebrae in his back that I guess we don't disclose. I don't know what's going on with Bo Nix, but I guess we just don't disclose injuries anymore, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I just thought, I think Lamar, I saw a lot of maturity in that game against the Steelers and the way he was playing situationally. His commitment to continue to run the ball and all that stuff, and his ability to pass without, Zay Flowers in there and stuff like that. He just looked really good. I just didn't see anything.
You started
Josh Allen.
I'm just teasing with you, but I think you started changing once you started seeing obviously how much he's developed as a passer. Lamar has developed as a passer as well just this year. I mean, he's played great. But hey, you gotta give Allen some love. I know you're talking about us all cook. He made some decent throws, especially in that second half. I mean,
great throws.
He had some ropes, man.
He had like 2 good throws.
No, please.
Or you still argue? Or what about the foot out of bounds? You still think the foot's out of bounds, huh? On that one touchdown?
Absolutely, the foot was out of bounds. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're catching the ball and you're
to him either, that was another thing that set you.
I mean, do we want to get into that? I mean, we can get into that. I've been watching football for 30 years. I've never seen a ref seek a player out, go to that player sitting on the bench and pat him on the back and say, "I'm sorry, I missed that call, buddy."
According to Josh Allen, he said, "Quit yelling."
So he said, "Quit yelling," and patted him on the back while he was saying that. That's what y'all think happened. Okay, that's great. That's fine.
Whatever. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to come down to something spectacular from one of them, whether it be a Lamar run or, that touchdown Lamar threw on Saturday was unbelievable. I'm talking about the one where he was in the pocket for 7 seconds, but he rushed up in the pocket. A guy came in his face. He stepped back and then felt the guy behind him, so pushed to the left. Then pushed back to the right, and then threw it to he checked down to his running back and went in. That was incredible. I love the Baltimore game plan. You could tell early on that TJ Watt was tasked with just, you're on Derrick Henry no matter what. And so the Ravens caught onto that pretty early and was just doing the show and go, the run option. And so Lamar would fake it to him and go, and TJ Watt bit every time. And then in the second half, once they adjusted, Derrick Henry went off. So I said this a long time ago, 4 weeks into the season, that they're a very hard offense to stop because they got so many weapons everywhere. And it's going to be tough for that Bills defense. But I think the home crowd, and I think Josh Allen steps up. I know, Chris, you said he hasn't before, but that game against the Chiefs in the divisional round in Kansas City a few years ago, he put up huge numbers. Unfortunately, he left 13 Patrick Mahomes, and that was it. Otherwise, I think he's been pretty good. I think it's a bit harsh, your criticism of him. I think it's going to be a very close game. I'm surprised the Baltimore favorites, honestly. I thought that the home field.
Well, it opened 1.5 Bills, and then it flipped like real quick to the Ravens. So we know who they're putting their money on. Sean McDermott, he's never been a really good coach in situational football. He's never had to do that in the first round because they always play 7 seeds. But if you're going against John Harbaugh, I think there's going to be a coaching disparity in that as well. And then, like I said, you're talking about Lamar versus Josh Allen. If you look at the trajectory of the season, I think Lamar has well outplayed Josh Allen over the course of this season. And I think this whole MVP nonsense that Josh Allen is a shoo-in for the MVP, I think that's going to be galvanizing for the Baltimore team. And I think they're going to be pissed. And I think they're going to come out with some fire when Josh Allen just gives you that blank stare, like he doesn't even know what day it is. That's what I see when he looks at. I mean, when he's standing there, he looks like he doesn't even know where he's at sometimes. So I don't. So we'll see how it goes, and they got to play the game.
So does this game, you guys think, maybe determine the MVP? Depending on how it goes.
They've already voted, right? They
voted at the end of the season. But they voted Lamar first team All-Pro, and the same guys who did same guys and gals that did that are going to make Josh Allen the MVP. How do you make one guy first team All-Pro and the other guy MVP?
I don't know why you're so convinced about that, because I looked at stats. I think the last time an first team All-Pro didn't win MVP was like Elway or something. Like it was 25, 30 years ago.
I mean, you got the refs apologizing to him. I don't know what else you need from him this year. I mean, he gets everything.
I'm feeling more confident by the day that Lamar Jackson gets MVP.
Yeah, but what's the narrative right now is that Allen's going to get it. So I think he still is going to get it.
If
I
you're an
think it's
AP
ridiculous.
guy, like you're not looking at games, you're looking at everything, situational statistics, all these things. Lamar Jackson, again, I said this last week, 4th highest ever passer rating in NFL history. He's in the same category as Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and I can't remember who the third one. It might be Joe Montana or something. Like crazy company. It's a historical season. I would be shocked if he doesn't get it. I don't care what the odds say. And yes, I do have $50 on Lamar Jackson, so I do have a horse in this race. But
Well, I'm going to cast my own vote after this game. This game is going to determine who I would.
this is it. This
put my
is
vote
Derek's MVP game.
This is my for sure. But I do think I'm going to take Ravens in this one, guys, and I think by a touch, probably at least a touchdown.
Look at that. Boom.
Yeah, I think it'll come down to whoever has the ball last. That's what I think. And then the winner of this game will get a home game next week against the Texans in the AFC Championship game. So
right.
there's a lot on the line here.
Why do you hate the Chiefs so much?
I
What's all the
don't hate
anger?
them. I'm over them.
Oh, you hate them.
I don't know. I mean, I don't hate them. I like Travis Kelce. I mean, I love Patrick Mahomes. He's one of the greatest. I'm glad that I get to watch him and all that. But I'm over the Chiefs. I love Andy Reid. He's one of the greatest coaches. I said last week he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. I think he's the greatest coach of all time. But
I mean, they won all those games. But I mean, gosh, I don't remember the last season where a team has won so many close games. I mean,
and not just
like breaks at the end of a game,
but like some bullshit happens that gets them out of jail. Like they botch the field goal holding, or the Raiders fumble the snap, like crazy.
The whole conspiracy
dark magic
going
shit.
on. I'm not going to jump on that shit, but what I'm going to say is like they obviously won, and they're a great franchise and probably have a really good shot at getting back to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I'm kind of a mark. I'm kind of over the Chiefs too.
Thank you. I think the whole of America is, except for.
But one band I am on is the Ravens. I'm hot on the Ravens right now.
Yeah, I was hot on the Ravens last year, and then they disappointed me against the Chiefs. But anyway, it doesn't.
I'm just sick of Josh Allen. I'm over Josh Allen. I'm over all the Josh Allen love.
Those texts, I mean, you were just
because he can't really throw the ball that well.
Oh,
he gets all these like adulation, and he's never done anything. And I'm just over it. It's like everybody wants to stamp this guy as a top 10 quarterback of all time, and he's not even an accurate passer of the ball. The only reason they started winning last year when they said, "Here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to replace our offensive coordinator, and our new offensive coordinator's plan is we need to have Allen throw the ball less. He needs to have the ball in his hands less times." And ever since they've done that, they've won more games. So I want you to show me another quarterback where it's like, we want you to not have the ball. But he's amazing. He's all time. What? Lamar has the ball he runs it so many times. He throws it so many times. That's why I've just put Lamar over Allen at this point, because the Allen hype is just so ridiculous. So
points I agree with you on, Chris. The one thing that when you say he's a horrible passer, I just can't jump on that with you on that one.
Great passer.
He gives you like 3 or 4 good passes a game. The rest of it, he's dinking and dunking, because that's the new Joe Brady offense, because they don't trust him to throw the ball because he's a turnover machine. The most turnovers in the NFL since he got into the NFL. The most of any player in the NFL. And they don't want him to do that. So watch him. I want you to watch him. He's going to dink and dunk. That's what he does. He dinks and dunks all day long because they don't trust him. So you can't be good if your team doesn't trust you to throw the ball. You can't be a good quarterback if your team doesn't trust you to throw the ball.
That's all I'm saying. Quarterback. You even admitted yourself. Because I even asked you. I'm like, where would you put him? And
he can run.
You said he's like number 4. Like you think
because
he was
there's so many bad.
I mean.
So
you're saying 20? Like
there's some bad quarterbacks in the NFL. There's some bad quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
32 guys in the world. I mean. Technically, let's just say there's 32 quarterbacks, right? You have him in number 4, the best of the best.
Well, the best of the worst, because the quarterback talent is just bad right now.
Just say he's a good, if you have
if he was a quarterback,
you just say he's a good quarterback. I'm just not a big fan of him.
10 years ago, he would be probably the 14th to 15th best quarterback in the NFL. If I went back 10 years, that's what I'm saying. It's like the talent level is just.
Well, the rest of America is very excited for this game on Sunday. Some of us aren't. I just want to, resurfaced that Chris's opinions are his and are not collectively shared by the Fans Huddle podcast. So apologies, Bill fans. Please don't come at us. If you like the show and you want to give us a like, click the subscribe button. It's probably over here somewhere. And then you can turn on notifications as well.
I mean, they pushed a girl with cancer down the stairs at a game, so like they're going to come at me. So that's
my
fine
God.
if they want to do that. They're the worst fans in football.
Editing
After the Lions fans
I'm
and the
telling
Phillies
people
fans.
to-
The Phillies, not the Eagles. It's the Phillies. It's the Phillies. Remember that, Tom Brady. You
like and
idiot. Can't
subscribe.
announce a game. Sorry.
Like and subscribe our videos. Sorry about our Frank Chris in the background. And yeah, hit us up. If you have any questions, you can comment on one of our videos or email us at thefanshuddle@gmail.com. So everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy the playoffs. Enjoy the national championship. We'll be back next week to preview it all or review it all. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Bill
See
suck.
y'all.